The commotion started in the bright midday courtyard, sunlight bouncing off the metal railings and white, washed walls of North Shore Military Base. Jonas Calder, the quiet janitor pushing his cleaning cart across the square, froze as he heard rough laughter rising from a group of young soldiers. His heartbeat stumbled, because something in their tone sounded too familiar, like the voices that once pushed him down when life had already pinned him to the concrete. He turned and saw a thin woman standing alone near the flagpole, her dark hair tied in a simple bun, her face gentle yet unreadable, her uniform plain and lacking any insignia. She carried a small duffel bag, and though she stood tall, she didn't raise her eyes. The soldiers circled her slowly, snickering, tossing remarks loud enough for everyone to hear. Jonas saw her hands tighten on the strap, and in that moment he felt a surge of protectiveness he hadn't felt in years. The sunlight felt too harsh, the world too loud, and he realized he couldn't stay silent, not when someone was being cornered again, not when he had promised his daughter he would always be the kind of man she believed he was. And so the janitor stepped forward, unaware that the woman he was about to defend held the highest authority on the entire base. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more stories that shine light into the world. Jonas planted himself between the soldiers and the woman, gripping the handle of his mop as if it were a shield. In the full glare of the afternoon sun, the courtyard fell still. Jonas's heart raced, but he reminded himself that he'd been through harder storms. Years of single fatherhood, nights working 2 jobs, days pretending exhaustion didn't exist, so his 10-year old son Rowan could grow up believing life still had bright corners. He wasn't a fighter, but he knew how to stand his ground. The soldiers stared, surprised that a janitor would dare intervene, but Jonas didn't flinch. He glanced back at the woman, who seemed just as stunned, as if she had expected no one in this world to step up for her. She lowered her eyes, but he caught a flicker of gratitude before she hid it. Jonas didn't need thanks. He only needed to make sure she was safe. The base had been his workplace for 6 years, ever since he begged the commander for any job available, sweeping floors, cleaning hallways, anything that would keep food on the table after his wife's sudden passing. He was the invisible man of the base, the one no one cared to notice unless something needed fixing. And yet, in moments like this, invisibility became a kind of freedom. It gave him the chance to choose compassion without worrying about what anyone thought. Jonas spoke calmly, not with authority but with steady conviction, and the soldiers, confused and embarrassed, slowly backed off. A few muttered excuses and drifted away, unwilling to challenge a man who stood so firmly even without rank or power. The courtyard returned to its afternoon routine, sunlight warming the pavement as if the moment of ugliness had never happened. When the dust settled, Jonas turned to the woman. She finally lifted her gaze, and he found something in her eyes that startled him: depth, sorrow, strength, and a tired wisdom that didn't match her simple exterior. She thanked him softly, her voice steady but weighted, like someone who carried more responsibility than she wanted anyone to see. She told him her name was Area Vance, newly transferred, here to observe operations. Jonas nodded, introduced himself, and went back to pushing his cart, though he felt her eyes follow him with curiosity and something like quiet admiration. He didn't know why, but her presence lingered in his mind long after she disappeared into the administrative building. Over the next few days, Jonas kept running into Area around the base, always in the daytime sun, always observing, always alone. She spoke little, but each time she greeted him with a warm nod that made him feel seen in a way he hadn't felt in years. Rowan, his son, met her once and immediately liked her. Rowan said she had a hero's smile, the kind that felt like safety. Jonas shrugged it off. He didn't see himself as someone who drew the attention of remarkable people, but Arya showed interest in his life, asking gentle questions, listening without judgment. She noticed the rough patches on his hands, the weariness in his posture. Jonas didn't realize she saw the courage in him that he had long forgotten he possessed. One bright afternoon, while Jonas polished the brass railings near the central tower, an alarm suddenly blared across the base. Soldiers broke into urgent formation. Officers rushed across the grounds. Jonas stepped aside, startled by the intensity. A senior commander barked orders, calling for attention and announcing the arrival of the new base admiral. Jonas blinked, remembering the shy woman he'd defended days ago, wondering what kind of strict, decorated figure he should expect to arrive. The crowd straightened as footsteps echoed down the walkway. Jonas stood far behind, unnoticed as usual. Then the line of officers parted, and Arya Vance stepped into view wearing a crisp, immaculate admiral's uniform, her insignia shimmering sharply in the bright sunlight. Jonas felt the ground tilt beneath him. The woman he had defended, the quiet observer, the one soldiers mocked, the one who seemed almost fragile, was the highest-ranking leader on the entire base. The soldiers who had laughed at her now stood trembling at attention. Arya's expression was composed, but her eyes, when they found Jonas across the courtyard, softened with unmistakable warmth. She didn't expose the incident, didn't humiliate anyone. She simply stated her expectations: respect, integrity, unity. After the ceremony, Arya approached Jonas privately. The afternoon sun lit her uniform like polished steel, but her face held the same gentle sincerity he remembered. She told him she had intentionally arrived without her rank displayed to see the true nature of the people under her command. Many treated her with indifference, some with disdain. Only one man, a janitor with tired eyes and a brave heart, had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. Jonas felt humbled, overwhelmed, and uncertain of what to say, but Arya thanked him with a depth that resonated through his entire being. She then made a quiet decision that changed Jonas's life forever. She arranged for him to receive training and promotion into a technician program, recognizing his dedication, resilience, and character. She told him the base needed people like him, not just for the work he did, but for the example he set. Jonas couldn't hold back the emotion that rose in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a janitor, not as a widower, but as a man who mattered. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support keeps stories of compassion alive. Special request: tell us in the comments what kindness means to you. Jonas walked home with Rowan that evening under the soft, clear daylight, feeling lighter than he had in years. The base behind him looked the same, yet everything felt different. One act of courage had changed two lives, his and the Admiral's, and in that simple exchange the world had become just a little kinder.